There's going to be a multilateral loan sought for a 6,000 crore groundwater management project, and they hope to get better projects and better outcomes from Manrega through small farm ponds and compost pits. So again, a whole series of things here, but the kind of effort that's needed really is massive compared to what has been done. The direction is perhaps right, but much more needs to be done on water resource management, because ultimately that is going to be the key to a sustainable and productive agriculture. There are a whole range of other things. I'm going to just breeze through these because this is just to illustrate that we touch upon everything. There's a scheme for everything. There's organic farming. The FM waxed eloquent about our honey production, as many of you may have noticed. And there are a whole range of things that apply. Marketing reform is clearly going to be very important. The government has made steps towards e-marketing with a common platform that hopefully begins to replace the APMC and the mandis. 12 states have reformed their mandi, their APMC acts. Others need to follow for this to become universal. And I don't know what impact this will have, but it could be a very good opening. 100% FDI in marketing food products produced and manufactured in India through the Foreign Investment Promotion Board process. There's stuff on food security, 500 crores more. Important step, pulses now, which has been a problem. India is the largest producer and consumer of pulses, yet we do very little to improve the productivity of pulses, and I hope this will change with this attention. I'll just say a few things about the non-agricultural sector and then move on to industry and to infrastructure. The biggest allocation there for Manrega, this is a very bold political statement in climate where there's been 2 years of rural distress. There's going to be some piloting and targeted delivery of subsidies using Aadhaar, an increase, substantial increase in rural roads with something like 27,000 crores expected in a combination of both central and state. A very important step, a small step, but a very important step, perhaps is going to be the increase in allocations to Gram Panchayats. And the problem there, of course, is independence, autonomy, and capacity. So this will increase the autonomy, but then will there be an increase in capacity of the Gram Panchayats? And I think that's a big question for the government, for the states, for NGOs and others working at the ground level. I'll just mention the last here, the land record modernization program. I happen to know a little bit about this because NCR may be working with the Ministry of Rural Development on this. This promises to be, if done well, for 8 years now the government has had this program in place. There is now rethinking on how this program can actually lead to an improvement of land records so that over a period of time, maybe 2 decades, maybe more, I don't know, we can actually get to conclusive titling in this area. As you can imagine, this has huge implications for unleashing the asset value of the land and a whole range of other areas that might be affected by improving our land records. Let me turn to then just my concerns where we have not dealt with a whole range of issues, which I think this budget could have started dealing with. On fertilizer subsidy, very little movement. On, of course, nothing on the food subsidy. And these together eat up so much of our development effort that it's going to be, it's perhaps too late now in the political cycle to deal with this, with the government already more or less at its halfway point. I hope Pratap will talk about this. But this was a great chance, given the firm stand taken on the fiscal position. This could have been something that we could have made important inroads into, and I think we've missed an opportunity. Infrastructure is the second biggest focus of the budget. And there, the most positive development for me has been the grappling with the PPP model of infrastructure, with two important recommendations of the Kelkar Committee being implemented here. Disputes resolution bill to create the institutional arrangement for the many disputes that are holding up large PPP infrastructure projects. The problem has been that the government is very inviting at the beginning. Unfortunately, eminent domain seems to assert itself halfway through, and the terms of the agreement with the private player in a PPP contract seem to change. And that ends up inevitably in litigation or in some kind of arbitration. So an institutional arrangement that will streamline this and a kind of make or break. You can take a resolution and go with it, or you can choose to stay in litigation, I think will be very important. Also, guidelines for renegotiating these PPP concession agreements. The government officers who are given this responsibility are put in a very awkward position with the three C's behind them, the CBI, the CAG, and the CVC, that they cannot really take on the concerns of the private sector, which are of course profit-making, but there is a lot of issues with who's looking over their shoulders, and that this renegotiation agreement will be extremely important. Here again, the off-budget items that are required for the tax-free infrastructure bonds, the National Investment Infrastructure Fund, are really problems that we still need to be addressing. And we haven't dealt with the capacity building that's needed within the government, both at the state level particularly, but also at the central level in terms of handling these PPP projects. Transport has had a big boost. Mr. Gadkari has again shown that he remains one of the most dynamic ministers and continues to push hard on roads, which of course is a very good thing. I'm going to skip over a couple of things and just get to my concerns so that I keep within my time. On the manufacturing and industry sector overall, I'm really concerned that there isn't really a rationalization on the external side. Again, we've fallen prey to the kind of import substituting adjustment of customs duties. We really didn't have to do that. And we've not really dealt with our poor export performance, which has a whole range of structural causes behind it. Very importantly, with the world moving to these mega trading blocks with TPP, APEC, and others, and of course we don't know what the political climate in the US will be come November and whether indeed TPP will go through. But we haven't taken any steps to align ourselves to these trading blocks, even to perhaps membership in APEC, which is a stated objective of the government of India. But we need to start taking steps in that direction. Let me stop here and come back on any of these issues in the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shekhar, for this very lucid presentation. May I now invite Dr. Shanthi to make her presentation, and I understand she'll be speaking on the social sector outlay.
It's been a tradition in the seminar that IDF will represent the social sector, and today I do so in front of you. Overall, like the previous speakers, I also should applaud the finance minister for showing fiscal prudence in this budget. He has contained the fiscal deficit to 3.5% budgeted, and for last year the revised estimate seems to be right along the estimate put out in the beginning of last year. So having said that, I will be revisiting this particular issue a little bit later when I make my argument as to how possibly it happened. So in his budget speech, two of the 9 pillars that finance minister spoke about dealt with the social sector. One is relating to the healthcare and to cover all under welfare, and the other was education. And in education, special focus has been given only to skill development. And what is the increase in total central outlay on social sector this year compared to last year? It's a very modest 0.03% of GDP. So this is the amount of money that has been additionally allotted to the social sector for this year. Now, I would like to show you a little bit in detail. I mean, I'm sure many of you are already aware of the proposals that are there for the social sectors in the budget. And so I'll just briefly touch upon this. The first one, of course, is the Manrega, which has the highest allocation of 38,500 crores. Then Swachh Bharat has received 9,500 crores. From all reports, they are doing some good work, building a lot of toilets here and there. And there is this LPG for female members of the family. That's an excellent move in the right direction. 2,000 crores for 5 years for BPL families. And crop insurance scheme, about which Dr. Shah just spoke about. And health sector, there has been a good focus on the poorer sections of the people and their health needs and covering them through insurances. So a new health insurance scheme has been announced for 1 lakh up per family and 30,000 extra for senior citizens. And there is some announcement on dialysis and kidney failure. Apparently there are 2.2 lakh renal patients added every year in India. This is a shocking number. Education, like I said, the focus has been on skill development and on entrepreneurship development. So some allocation, 1,700 crores has been allotted for skill development. And one of the nicest things I liked about the allocation to education is the 62 new Navodaya schools to be started. They are doing excellent work. And with this addition of the 62 schools, all the districts in India are going to be covered, and that's an excellent thing. And there is some talk on digital literacy mission. I was wondering whether it's going to be run along the lines of the national literacy mission of the early 90s. If it is done like that, perhaps it has a chance of succeeding, but it will require a lot of detailing to be done before it is launched. But it's a good move to even think about that. Now let's look at the numbers. I told you that the increase in the allocation has been 0.03% of the GDP. Now over the years, how has social services sector fared as percentage of GDP? Now if you just look at the central plan and non-plan expenditure, you see that it has been going up to about 2.09% in 2010-11. After that, there has been a downtick. So as a percentage of GDP, we have started investing less and less in social services since 2010-11. And from 14-15 onwards, if you see, post the 14th Finance Commission recommendations came into effect from 15-16. So 14-15, we see a dip, huge dip, and then there's a sort of leveling off, but it doesn't really go back to its old levels. This is as far as the central allocations are concerned. Then I wanted to look at the state allocations and see whether some of this decline in the central allocation has been offset in the state budgets. So that I do in the next slide. So over here, unfortunately for states, all states, I have data only till 2014-15, and those are also budget estimates. We have not received more recent data relating to the state. This is a major drawback, because I'm going to tell you later on that social sector nowadays, or in these years, is largely passed on to the state governments. And so for us to draw any conclusions about what is being done with this money, how it is being spent, and what are the outcomes coming out of these expenditures, we have to take a closer look at state government budgets and possibly not the central government budget. But this point I'll make a little bit later also. So this is what it is, 2014-2015 budget estimates. You see that there is a sort of an uptick happening since 12-13, and 6.5% is the total state allocation made to social sector services. Now in the last, this is all the data I'm going to give you, so bear with me. So in this I am looking at sector-wise, percentage spending with respect to the total central government budget. And different sectors that come within the social sector. I have not covered all of them, I have only taken the top 5.